Can you guys believe that it's been one whole month ever since the assassination of Charlie Kirk? And this is just a living example of how fast time flies. And look, we know that ever since September 10th and that terrible thing that happened to Charlie Kirk by a terrible human being, by the way, that shall remain nameless and should never deserve any form of recognition. That's exactly why I refuse to mention his name on here and never will again. But we know one thing right now is that the majority of Hollywood, many actors and actresses representing many different studios in Hollywood, are taking advantage of this situation and politicizing it, dragging Trump at the very middle of it all. And the latest example has a lot to do with, not a shocker at all, Rachel Zegler, known as Snow White in Disney's Snow White, the Disney live-action remake that failed across the board for the box office. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we know one thing about Rachel Zegler is that the minute she actually decided to make the marketing campaign, the press tour for Snow White, into a political campaign, into an overall political rant about President Trump at the time, really actually did impact the performance of the Snow White film. There's no doubt about that, and how she also dragged in the whole Gaza and Palestine thing. That also didn't help the box office at all. But we know one thing about Rachel Zegler right now is that she's once again using the Charlie Kirk assassination as a way to politicize the entire thing and to also go on a long-winded Trump tirade, and how it's also just backfiring even more so on her overall career, if you even want to say she has a career anymore, because let's face it, she's not getting work anymore, especially, from any major motion picture studio out there. Nobody wants to work with Rachel Zegler at all. Now, one thing about all of this is that with the assassination of Charlie Kirk causing so many of those in Hollywood to say some of the most offensive things about him and how it's backfiring on many studios, one major development going on now involves more to do with actress Rachel Zegler, once again using something like the Charlie Kirk assassination as an opportunity to politicize the entire situation. Zegler delivered the following: I don't know what's more un-American right now, our sitting president or how our sitting president is using the death of this man, Charlie Kirk, to double down on his tariffs, which is wreaking havoc on the film industry. Because that's exactly what is happening, not just with our sitting president, who is abusing his power to engage in unethical deportations, but using the Charlie Kirk's passing and what happened weeks ago to blame liberals and those on the left. He has tried to silence us and everyone else in this industry, and I hold no regrets of what I said about Trump months and months ago. We are dealing with a man that is a racist, sexist, and misogynist that doesn't care about our country, that is going so low to use what happened on September 10th to further his own agenda. This is why actors can no longer act. This is why comedians can no longer make jokes, especially if it's about this dictator running our country. I'm asking everyone right now, have your prices gone down? No, they haven't, since I have to answer that question for everyone. And don't give me the whole give it more time argument. We were better off under Biden and Harris, and I don't support any political violence, but this would have never happened under Biden and Harris, and I'm scared as a U.S. citizen right now, not just for our many actors in my line of work, but for everyday hard-working American citizens that really don't know any better right now because they can't pick up a book and learn something for themselves. When I saw what happened to Jimmy Kimmel, that's when I knew Trump was abusing his power and using the death of this young man to taint Democrats and play the victim toward them. Now guys, let me just say one thing about Rachel Zegler once more, is that she is obviously trying to play the victim herself. She is trying to make it like she was silenced, and again, she is the upteenth actress at this point to politicize the whole Charlie Kirk assassination. There is no doubt about that, and she couldn't really help herself, and I think that she is so bitter to the point that she doesn't know quite else what to do, because she lost so much work. Now she has nothing else to do but to blame President Trump, and to use the whole Charlie Kirk assassination as a way to just go on a long-winded Trump rant. She goes on to actually continue, I can only hope people grow some common sense next year once we get closer to the midterms. We need to do better as a country because I don't recognize my country anymore, and many women on my side will agree. President Trump is acting like a dictator and abusing his power, and the death of this man should not give him a pass to double down on any of his policies that obviously are not working. He wants to put a tariff on foreign-made films. Why is he so afraid of our talented studios making films outside of this country? Why is that so intimidating to him? It's a legitimate question. Now, guys, let me just say one thing about this. Now, I don't think that she realizes that the 100% tariff thing on foreign-made films, it's basically a strategy to actually bring jobs back to the United States for the film industry and to actually keep it here for the most part. But we also know that she's having a growing issue with the fact of the 100% tariffs thing becoming reality. But it's not just Rachel Zegler. It's also Bob Iger running Disney. It's also David Zaslav running WB, Warner Brothers, and among other major motion picture studio CEOs out there that are freaking out over that because they want to save money on a lot of their movies by shooting it outside of the US. In fact, a really interesting example is how when you're looking at movies like Spider-Man Brand New Day, segments of that are being shot outside of the US to save money, to save on funds. To a degree, of course. Now, we know that there's a lot of things going on elsewhere outside of Disney. It's other studios. It's not just catered to Disney, by the way. But again, the fact that Rachel Zegler is going so far to use this as a way to politicize the whole Charlie Kirk situation and to just really point the finger at Trump again, it's actresses like Rachel Zegler that really can't help themselves. It's also those in the music industry like Katy Perry and Ariana Grande. We also, what they had to say about Trump and the whole Charlie Kirk situation and how they are abusing that as well and taking advantage of that as well. However, she goes on to continue and conclude, it's because our president doesn't care about diversity, whether it's in the movies or those working on the films. That's why he's intimidated of shooting movies outside of America. The America First argument is nothing more than an excuse. So, she obviously has a problem with the whole America First thing right there. And I think that's the epitome of, you know, an actress that is very insufferable, especially when they actually go so low to the point of saying America First is an excuse. I don't even know what else to say about Rachel Zegler, but one thing is for certain about Zegler right now is that she's not getting work any work ever again by a major studio in Hollywood. And if anything, she's only going to actually stick to roles that are either legitimate theater, like on-stage theater, or low-budget programs, or low-budget projects, I should say, being shot by, these pretty much no-name studios out there that nobody's ever going to see. Her Marissa Tomei-affiliated film, by the way, it's only going to be seen in a handful of theaters across the entire nation, where it's going to be pretty much, unrecognizable. Nobody's really going to see it. No one's actually going to even hear about it. That's how, hidden it's really going to be. But one thing about this all is that we know that Rachel Zegler, Ariana Grande, Katy Perry, Robert De Niro, Alec Baldwin, there's so many people to discuss. They've gone on the whole long-winded thing about how so many American citizens are uneducated, they don't know what they're talking about. I find it funny how Rachel Zegler says American citizens refuse to pick up a book, etc., etc. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys later.